is so I think the screen is visible to everyone now. We'll first start by how to get the template, because this is a very important step and a very important initial step for everyone to get. So first of all, you will log into your e-service, and I believe this is how it looks for most of the students. Please raise your hand if I'm going too fast, or if you have any question, Mr. Muaz will notify me. Then you will go to colleges and go to the College of Graduate Studies. Okay. It should take some time. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes the portal is a bit slow in the campus. I think once it loads, it should look something like this. If you choose students, you will get all the forms that are related to maybe the defense, or maybe preparing for the form to release for printing, and all our old templates. But as you can see here, starting or effective this year, and specifically this semester, if you click on it, it will take you through a new page which has all our new templates. So the first thing you can notice is we have three major types of the templates. The first one is a master thesis template. This is usually for the master students who don't have any publications, and they are just wanting to write a thesis just normally, like as done before, but the only difference is the way it will look in the printing in the form of a book format. The second one is a monograph type thesis, which is basically the same as this one, but for the PhD students. And the last one is an article based dissertation. Usually we are expecting that most of our PhD students will have some publications at some point. So you will be able now to attach your articles as it is in the form of PDF, just directly through your templates as the end. Before I proceed, I believe most of you will, as PhD student, will use this one. Am I right? Anyone who will be attaching their publications in the template from our attendees today? Anyways, it's not very complicated. It will be a very final step. As long as you have your papers published and ready in PDF format, it will be very easy to attach it using the Adobe Acrobat, and I'll explain that in the end. So let's first start by looking at the master thesis template, because it's very similar to the PhD, and then we will just show you the differences in the article based. So you will choose each template as per your college. The only difference is the color. For example, the color of College of Science will be green. Maybe the color of College of Education will be brown. So the cover page color will differ based on the college, and we will see that in the end. I hope this first step is clear for everyone. So once you download the template, you will. I chose College of Science as an example. This is, of course, the monograph thesis, and as I said, the PhD also is very similar. So the first thing you will notice is that now we added a cover page that is different than our previous cover page in the cover, and the color, of course, as I said, is different from college to college. Can you see the screen, Maaz?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. So of course, this is an image, and you have to be very careful while manipulating it. So as you can see, once we click on this, it's a movable box. So please, as you edit, don't try to move things as much, because we're expecting that in the printing, it should be as aligned as possible from thesis to thesis. So here you will start by just adding the number of the thesis. Of course, the college will be already a default for you now. And then you will write your department, whether it's biology, environmental biology, or as per the college. Please use the official department name from the website or from the official documents that we usually provide on our portal, because this is very important. As per the old template, you will still have your title in capital letters, but now, as you can see, we will add it twice here in the cover page and also in the second page to the cover. And then you will write your name as per the transcript, and make sure that your name matches in the cover page as in the second page, as also wherever you write it in the document, because we now have a couple of places where you will add your name other than the previous template. So wherever we search on your name, we are expecting it to see it exactly matching from the cover page. And preferably, it should be as per the transcript. Here in the cover page, you can also add a representative image of your research. So as you see in many publications, we have this graphical abstract. So maybe an image here can represent a summary of your work or maybe one of the main findings. So you can also add it here, and here you will add your defense month. So whether you defend in April, March, or even a later month, you will just add it with the year 2022. Of course, the guidance here should be deleted. So please, when you edit your template, please try to delete these things. We keep these things as guidance for you only. So the second page is exactly like our previous cover page. Basically, you'll have the university name, the college, the department again, the capital letter title, your name, and the official degree title. Some students write Master of Environmental Sciences, which is not correct. We need to have Master of Science in Environmental Sciences. And of course, the defense month, which should match with the previous page. I just wanted to note that previously we had different margins. Now we are going to have it in a book format. As you can see, like it's going to be double faced. So now the margins has decreased a little bit, and the overall page margins also have decreased. So if you go to layout margins and go to custom margins just to check, you will see that this is totally different than what we had previously. We have a 2.54, 2.54, and from the top 2.03, and the left 2.29. So these numbers are a bit specific. We are expecting to print in a book format, and we are not expect to have different margins from different students. So please do not change anything as from here. Of course, if you download the template and use it, it will be already made for you. This is a new page that we have. Here it also says the university and the thesis number. And here you can just, as written here, you can just enter a short title or maybe a single line description that also summarizes the research and the work that you have done. Please don't forget to also change your name here in the copyright and the year, of course, if you defend in later years. The fourth page is similar to what we had earlier. Here you have a declaration of original work, that this work is done by you. It wasn't published anywhere. It's not used to obtain any other degree in other universities. So please make sure that this text is official and it's not changed from person to person. We get some students that do edit this text, and this is not accepted. The title here should be in italic, and you have to capitalize the first letter in each word, okay? Except, of course, the conjunctions or the linking words. So you don't capitalize off or in or, but the other words, of course, has to be capitalized. Here you will add your professor's name for the first time. As you can see here, the professor's name has been removed from this page where compared to what we have earlier, but now it only comes here in the fourth page. So please make sure that if your advisor is a professor, you use professor. If he's an assistant professor or an associate professor, you only use doctor. Of course, here the college will not change. If you download the engineering template, it should say engineering, education, it should say education. And here you should sign. As you can see, the signature now comes on the top of each other compared to what we previously had. If you looked at our template, the page numbers now becomes in the bottom instead of the top. So please take care of the page numbers. As I said, since we are having a book format, we are expecting the page numbers to be opposite to each other. So if you're holding a book, from the left page, the page number has to be towards the edge, and from the right side, it has to be also towards the edge. So the trick here is something that we already prepared in the template, which is the section Ode Breaks. I believe this is much more complicated than the previous template. A lot of students used to have some problems with the page numbering. So here we highly advise you to use the template for the page numbers to come in opposite sides. We get some students that maybe take this template and copy it somewhere else or make their own writing, but I highly believe that this will affect the position of the page numbering and being in opposite sides. So please don't change anything here in terms of the section breaks, which we will see later in the document, because this will affect the position of the page numbering. As earlier, we had Roman page numbering in the first section of the document, and then we will have the normal numbering as the writing starts. So after the declaration of original work, we'll have two pages. One is the advisory committee and one is your examination committee. So please just fill in your advisor's name and make sure that it matches the second page as you already wrote before. And it should be as per the official website. Also, the title of the professor should not change, as we mentioned. And you should fill this page if you have an advisory committee. If not, please remove this page, as it can, as you can see it here. If you have an external examiner, please make sure to write the country, whether it's USA or England or whatever. And even if it is from United Arab Emirates, you should mention the country, because if a reader is reading the thesis from outside, he might not know that maybe a city like Al Ain is from UAE. So it's better to make it as clear as possible. As you can see here also, this is your examination committee. If you have less members, for example, some students will have only 3 members, you can delete one and make sure that the number doesn't change. So this page is signed by your committee electronically now, and we are expecting it to be signed before we send it to the deans for signature.
I'm sorry, Mr. Abdurrahman, but one of the students is asking, do you have the dissertation template in LaTeX?
For LaTeX now, we only have the old template. We are still working on preparing a LaTeX template in this format. So unfortunately, we don't have it prepared right now. We are working on that. So for LaTeX student, we are hoping if you could write maybe a code or try to manipulate what you have to match what we are having now in the new template. You can also email CGS and we'll try to help you. I'm not sure if we have a lot of students who are using LaTeX. But if you have a code that maybe you can manipulate based on what we can see on the screen now, I think it will definitely help. At least for this semester, to be honest, you know, since this is new, we are still figuring things out. So as soon as everything is settled, we'll definitely have the LaTeX template ready. Thank you for your question. And then we will proceed. We having the dean's signature. So we are not expecting any of the students to send us this page signed, because we take care of the signatures from the dean. As you can see, the signature position has changed. Of course, since this is a page, when it book format, when this page is printed, it's expected to be much smaller than our previous template. So you might see that the line spacings and the font size has decreased. So now instead of 12, we are having a font size of 11. So please take care of that. I know that some of the students maybe was already writing their thesis and they are expecting to shift to the new template. So take care of these changes. I'm not sure how many are in this situation. Like, did you write maybe something and now you're shifting to the new template? Do we have any of the attendees? Yes, this is a good idea. I just read the chat. So someone is saying if they can download the old LaTeX template that we have and manipulate it. I think, to be honest, it's not very hard to manipulate in terms of the line spacing and the font size and so on. I'm just worried about the page number. If you are an expert in LaTeX and you can even help us at CGS how to manipulate the page numbers and change the layout as the new format, we will highly appreciate this. And we can even use your work as a template for others. So as you can see, another change is the justification. For the whole text now, justification is not required. You can use the text left aligned only for of course the English text, and for the Arabic text it will be right aligned. So please make sure that the abstract does not exceed 2 pages. Abstract is only a short representation of your work, so we are hoping to have it at least like half a page, and maximum of maybe 1.5 pages if necessary. Same goes with the Arabic template. As you can see, it's 11 font size now. And please, for English speaking students, we are getting a lot of errors, whether it's the old or the new template, in terms of these things. So some people think that this is not necessary and they delete it. Please don't delete this title and abstract in Arabic, or even this word, which means that summary or an abstract in Arabic. So please don't delete these words and keep it in your text. This is a new page that we added. We are now looking for the author contribution. Of course, as a thesis, we are expecting you to make most of the work for the results and everything. So please write if you plan the work, if you had maybe the responsibility in data collection, processing, the results, etc. So we are expecting you to fill this page. At least 3 points are required for the author contribution. Again, author profile is a new page. Yes, Maaz?
Sorry, but one of the students is also from Zubaydah is asking, is the paper size still A4?
No, it's not A4. It will be, I think it's called S3, but this is something technical for the printing office. So as long as you use the template, don't worry about the paper size. It should be already manipulated in the printing office. I believe it's called S3, if I'm not mistaken, but it's not A4. It will not be A4 size.
So one more question here from Zubaida is asking if we're trying to justify the writing. Will it be accepted or it must be left aligned?
I think this point is flexible. You might want to ask for the approval from the dean just to not change everything at the end, but I think it's flexible in terms of justification. If you don't like how the text looks unjustified, you can ask for the approval, and I think it will be flexible. So we'll just move on. The author profile also is a new page following the author contribution. So here you write a summary of your work, if you have any publications in maybe top 1% journals. What are your previous work experience? So this is a personal page. Please also don't exceed the limit. Some students like write many pages, so just try to make it as summarized as possible. I think 1 page is enough for the author profile. So this is just a guidance for you on how to write your author profile. So again, you can read it and just delete it after you read it and then write. Don't keep this in the final thesis. Acknowledgement is from the previous template, but as you can see, the line spacing has decreased since the page size decreased. We decreased also the line spacing. So now it's 1.5 instead of double. So you can write this as personal as it can be, but please do not just also exceed the page limit. Dedication is just a brief description, 1 sentence to dedicate this thesis to someone, maybe to your family. So make sure that it's in the middle of the page, it's italic, and 1 to maybe 3 sentences will be fine. The next one is the table of content. So this is a very important page because again, this is done automatically. We're expecting that as you add any titles, you update the table of content, and it should update the page number automatically, and we'll show you how. But make sure that at the end, you just go through your page numbers and make sure that it matches the what's inside the text. Another important point here is the capitalization. So as you can see here, for example, in the headings, we have each letter of the headings capitalized. So we're expecting to match it in all the headings. If you choose not to, that's okay. You can only capitalize the first letter in the sentence and then uncapitalize the rest, but please be consistent. So you can choose one of them and please be consistent for all the other headings. And of course, you will note here that the author contributions, the author profile, and everything now is added in the table of content. So please don't do this manually. It messes up a lot of things and it will cause you a lot of trouble to change it later in the end. Just to clarify, we have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. More than that, it's not really necessary to just not crowd the whole table of content. So as you can see here, we have heading 1 followed by heading 2. Heading 2 is basically when you have 2 numbers, 1.1, 1.2, etc. And heading 3 is when you add an extra number, which will be a total of 3 numbers. So more than heading 3 is not necessary in the table of content. And moreover, you can see also that the alignment here has changed. We used to keep the 1.1 just below the number 1, but now you can also align it here. There is more flexibility in this because if you align it here, since the page number is smaller, it might clash with the page numbers. So it's better to keep it as it is right now in the template. Don't please change any alignment. And also, I just wanted to make sure that if you have any extra text that is clashing with the page numbers like this, please delete it. Or I mean, not delete it. I mean, you can just shift it to the next line using Shift Enter, as I did. Not only Enter, you just go here before the word study. Sorry, after the word study, where you want to shift the text to the next page. So to the next line, I mean, and then you can just click Shift Enter. And then you can align the second line using the MS ruler like this. So now it will align on the second line just below the word potential, and it will not clash with the page numbers. This is very important. I think a lot of students do have long headings, and it ends up clashing with the page numbers. I highly recommend, as you write inside the text, and we will show you how, you can just keep updating the page numbers. and the page and the table of contents. So you make sure that everything is under control. The same applies for the list of tables and the list of figures. I'm not going to repeat, but it's basically exactly like the same. Shift enter if you want to move it to the next line, and you can be consistent if you want to capitalize the first letter or not. It's okay to capitalize the first letter in each word in the table of content, but not in the list of figures, as you can see. List of abbreviations is basically most of the abbreviations used. I'm not going to say all, because here we keep the most repeated abbreviations, and they should be in order, alphabetical order, of course. And you need to capitalize the first letter in each word in the abbreviation. As you can see, the B is capitalized, the H is capitalized, so all the letters has to be capitalized in the list of abbreviation. So now this is also new. Before any chapter, we will have a cover page for the chapter where the page number comes. And as you can see, it's written in font 36. It's in exactly this position. So please don't move it up or down. This is, of course, important because this will be affected by the section breaks, as I said earlier. So if you delete this section break and maybe have a longer list of abbreviation, this might push the chapter 1 to the next page, or maybe push it to the middle of the page. So please make sure that after each page you have a section break as it is in the template. Don't change it, don't add it, don't delete it, so it doesn't affect the following pages. So my advice is to after you finish the page, you can use this show and hide symbol. This basically shows you all the spaces inside the document. So you can just show it and check that there is a section break. So now you are safe that the page numbers will not be affected. Again, after the cover page, you should have this section break. If this is deleted, it will affect the page numbering in the subsequent pages. Again, this one, you need to delete the text after you read. This is just a summary of what you need to have. What are the overview chapters, what is heading 1, what is heading 2, and so on. So you can just delete this and start with the overview. So as you can see, since these titles are automatic, I just want to add some text and show you that when I update this, it will update entire table. So as you can see, I just added some text in the overview, right? And I just right-clicked, update field, update entire table. Once I did that, the overview text that I just added became here in the heading 2. So this is just very simple way to add your text in the headings and then update it back in the table of content. So what we advise is you go to the chapter, write your headings and text, and then go back after maybe 1 or 2 headings and just update the table of content, just to make sure that nothing gets messed up. Mistakes are expected to happen. Technical issues are expected, so we're always happy to help you as you write if you have any problems. This is a good way to manage the table of content as you write. It's not recommended to maybe write all the thesis and then suddenly update the table of content. As you can see, once I click on it, it automatically navigates. This is maybe important for the PDF version. You would want your thesis to have a correct navigation as you read it online. So now, as you can see, again, the text is not justified. The font is smaller to 11 and the line spacing is 1.5. These are all changes from the old template where we had much larger line spacing and much larger font. So please, before you write, you can just have a quick check over the formatting. So even if you write your text in the previous and the next pages, it should not be changed from what we have here. You can note it down even if you want. This is 1.5, font number size 11, and justification is removed. Another point is also the line spacing of the heading. You can see that the line spacing now has decreased a little bit to 12 and 6 instead of what we had earlier. And of course, the line spacing of this heading also decreased. Instead of double, it's now multiple at 1.08. So this will bring the heading a little bit closer to the text, as we can see. Of course, if I change it to double, you would see that it's a much larger size. Of course, given that this page will be a book format and it's much smaller, so we don't recommend to have this spacing. Of course, these spacing are a little bit flexible. We are not saying that you have to have it like 1.08 and exactly like this, but if you change it a little bit, if you'd like to maybe a little bit just increase it, it's okay, but just make sure that it's consistent everywhere, right? So of course, we would recommend to have it as it is in the template, so it doesn't affect the overall consistency that we are looking for between different theses. Okay, of course, as you can see here, we have, of course, in text citations. So this citations, of course, can differ from college to college. This is the APA style. Some students in College of Medicine use maybe MLA or Vancouver style. In engineering, they use IEEE. So it depends on your college. There is no specific style, because I think some students get confused by this and they think that we maybe require only this style of writing. It's okay. But the only thing we recommend is to use automatic citation. So as you can see here, I think this template was created using the EndNote, which I'm not really experienced in. We have some specific workshops coming for that. But what we recommend is Zotero. Zotero is also basically an automatic citation tool that allows you to add your citations, whether it's APA or IEEE and so on. So as you write, please add your references so that when you check these references later using maybe Control F, you will find it at least 2 times in the document, 1 time inside the text and 1 time inside the reference list in the bibliography. I would like to stop here if you have any questions, just any small questions, if I'm going too fast. I'm sorry if I am, but I'm trying to give you as much information as possible. And don't worry, this recording will be available for you to revisit.
So thank you, Mr. Abdurrahman. There is one question from Khaled. He was asking about the table of contents. If you can repeat how to update it.
Yes, definitely. So I'll just maybe add this. I'll change the text here, right? And as you can go here to the table of content, you can just right click, update field, update. If you want to update the page numbers only, it's okay. But for updating the titles, you can just use update entire table. Once you click update entire table, any changes that you made will be changed here in the text, as long as this text is highlighted as heading 2, right? So if this is not highlighted as heading 2, whatever you make there in the table of content will not be changed. We will go through this, but I mean, as an example, this is just a normal text, right? So it will not affect anything in the table of content. This is heading 2. If I go to the chapter heading, it will be heading 1, right? And if I go to maybe 1.4, if 1.41, if it is there, yeah, this one, heading 3. If you click on it, you will find that this is highlighting as heading 3, right? So any changes I make here should be updated in the table of content in heading 3. Update field, update entire table. As you can see, it updated here in the 1.14. I hope that was clear.
Thank you so much. And there is one inquiry from Ms. Tiana. She's asking if is it okay to use the IEEE references with its style?
I think I have already answered this question. It's okay to use any type of references, formatting and citation, IEEE, APA, as long as you are using it in the correct format. So I think the format you wrote here in the chat is a bit wrong. The brackets and everything is correct. I think you need to add a space after the commas. So a 22, comma, space 33. Just make sure that you use exactly the same style as it is from the official website of the site. And you can also use Zotero or like EndNote or any other software like Mendeley. These will already automatically make it for you. Like we get some students, unfortunately, that use the APA style, but they write this et al manually, right? So they will miss this dot or this comma. They will have some extra spaces. So this will, of course, not be accepted, and we will return the thesis. Also, make sure that when you use the style, please make sure use the most updated, which is the 7th edition. This will not have any initials in the document, in the reference. Like for example, here song is the last name of the author, not the first name. So please make sure that there is no initials. As I said earlier, the change here in the heading 3 as compared to the previous template is the bold. So now we remove the bold of the heading 3. It's not bold anymore. We'll only have heading 1 and heading 2 as bold, but heading 3 and whatever comes after that will not be bold, but will be italic. So please make sure that this is changed. Of course, let me just show you an example here. So I just added an enter here, and I made the ruler aligned to the margin of the page. And let's say that I want to add heading 3, which is 1.4, sorry, 1.41, 1.42. So let me add the heading here after 1.43. This is just an example how to use add a heading. This is 1.41, 1.42, 1.43. So I'll add 1.44. But first of all, you need to just make sure that this is aligned. 1.44. Let's say you want to write any text. You can capitalize the first letter and just follow whatever you wrote. So as you can see, this is not aligned. I just want to make it like this. You can just select it and go to heading 3, and it automatically have this arrow, right? And it will automatically become as italic. And when you go to the table of content and update, it should automatically appear like this. So now when you click on it, it goes directly to heading 3, and it will also update in the table of content. So this is a very easy way to add new headings, because some might ask, we only have 3 headings. What if I want to add like 8 headings and so on? You can just follow the same way. Let's say that you want to add another heading, but as 1.4.4.4, right? You can add whatever you want, and you can just change it to heading 4, but it will not update in the table of content because we only set it to heading 3, right? So I updated, but it doesn't appear yet. It's showing here in the navigation panel that there is an extra heading. So that's okay. You can add your headings as you go, heading 4, heading 5, and so on. And you can just update, and it will not update more than heading 3. Another point here is if you click on any heading and just right click and go to modify, it shows you the exact format that we have set. So let's say that you just want to increase the space a little bit below all the heading 3 in the document. You can just go to heading 3, modify, and just go to format or paragraph or whatever you want to change, and just change it from here. So if I change this paragraph to maybe 12 and click OK, but I don't want to mess it up. As we said, we recommend to have it as it is. But if you want to change a little bit, you can add it here. And once you click OK, it will change all the heading 3 in the document, whatever you have and whatever you will add. Again, the table and the figures are pretty much similar from what we previously had. The table captions comes above the table, and the figure captions comes below the figure. So this is very important. Please make sure that the spaces between the figure and the figure caption is consistent as possible. So please don't have a figure caption that is very far away from the figure, or also in the table. So if you have a table that is more than 2 lines, we're expecting you to align it like this, left, not, I think this might have changed a little bit. Yeah, so you can just align it left as it is, not, no, this is centered, I'm sorry. It should be aligned left like this, not centered, because it's more than 2 lines. But if you have 1 line, you can just keep it centered as it is, right? So this is a very important point. This is also the Dean's recommendation. Another very important point, and we're expecting a lot of students to have figures in their thesis, is the quality of the figures. Please make sure that the quality is readable at 100% zoom inside the MS Word. So once we have this, it should be readable. The margins, sorry, the x-axis and the y-axis should be large enough to be able to read, and it should be clear, not blurry. So please make sure that this also applies to the figures and the tables. I just want to show you how to add a new table and to add a new figure, so that you can add it inside your list of figures and list of tables, so that we can, with this, we have covered how to add everything automatically, and it should show you how. So let's say I want to add a figure here between these 2. Again, you can just maybe move the margin and go to references. I know it might be weird a little bit, but you will just go to the references and then insert caption. You will have 2 options, either figure or table. Since this is the first figure, since I'm adding a figure here before figure 1 already, it will show me as figure 1, right? I can just add a column and write my figure caption. Of course, in the figure, it's recommended to add the figure first and then add the figure caption. But in the table, you will add the table caption and then the table. So let's try the table first, since we don't have a figure. So now this will be table 1, right? And I added my table caption and I clicked OK. So as you can see here, it is automatic. Once I clicked on it, it is grayed out and the caption is already added. And I pressed enter and I just inserted any table, whether you are copying it from somewhere or maybe inserting it in the MS Word, right? You can add your text or results and then go to the list of tables. We already have 3 tables set for you, but once you do the same, it will update as you see here, becomes table 1, and the subsequent becomes table 2. Table 2 and 3 and so on. So now you have added a table automatically. It shows in the list of tables. It matches the caption and everything is great. I just wanted to stress on one point, which is the long table caption. So sometimes the student will have a very long table caption. We recommend to keep the long table caption only inside the text, but for the list of tables and list of figures, it's not recommended to have too much text here. Some students like show A, B, C, D all in the list of tables, which is highly not recommended. What we recommend is, let's say that you have types of cells, for example, dot, and then you have A, right, B, and C. So what we are recommending is to keep this inside the list of tables, and after the full stop, whatever you have here as details, you just keep it inside the text. This, of course, applies more to the figures, not to the tables. Usually ABC will be in the figures. I'm sorry about that, but I think you got the idea. So once we update, whatever I wrote should show here, right? But you can, after update, you can just clean it out and remove this. So now you will only have the types of cells. Once you click, you will have the details, right? So that's what we recommend. I know most of you keep the details in the list of figures and tables, but this will end up crowding the list of figures and tables, and it will not be very recommended for the reader. I hope now adding figures, adding titles, and adding tables is very clear. The differences are there, but it's not very major, so you can easily cope with it, I believe, in terms of the size of the font size, the italic of the heading 3, and the justification that we talked about. So now this applies to all the figures, all the chapters. We have chapter 1, and as you can see in the end of the chapter 1, we will have a section break. As we said, this is very important in having the page numbers vice versa. And then you will have chapter 2. This chapter 2 is usually for the methods. Okay, so you will write your methods and what we used and everything. And then chapter 3, this is a bit also like updated. We recommend to have the results and discussion together. I think maybe you might experience this with some of the publications and whatever you read on the Google Scholar and whatever. So it's better to follow the same lead, which is results and discussion as one chapter. Maybe whatever you have, you can relate it to maybe other previous work and so on. These 3 sections are actually important. We require now to have an overview of the main findings, profile and statistics, and that, I mean, not the 3 headings, I'm sorry, it's mainly the overview of the main findings, and then you can add your results. Sorry about that. So this is very important. It's up to you to add it anywhere in the chapter, maybe at the end, not in the beginning, but it has to be there. This is very important. And as you can see, this is also heading 2. So whatever we click on will show as heading 2. If you want to add extra headings, as we showed before, you can add heading 3, heading 4, and so on. So this chapter 4 will be conclusion. This is just a general conclusion for the thesis. And then comes the references page, which is whatever style you used, you have to follow. So this is APA style, where the author last name comes first and then followed by the initial. Each, of course, reference style will have some structure, so we're expecting it to be there, whatever style you use. For example, here we are requiring to have the author names followed by the title of the paper, right? And then the title of the journal, or the name of the journal, with each letter capitalized, and then the volume and issue, and then followed by the page number. So I'm going to give some general notes about the references, and this applies to any style. Whatever style you use, It should have some author names, it should have some years, it should have some journal names, book names, page range, and so on. So just few notes, maybe 5 or 6 notes, and it should apply to anything. Of course, if you use the automatic citation tool, all these notes or all these structures should be there somehow. Of course, yeah, some changes might be required from your side. Maybe some citation tools will not add page range, so in that case you have to add it manually. But most of it, like let's say 90 to 95%, will be there ready made for you, so you don't have to worry about it. So before I just jump into the reference section, Muaz, do we have any questions?
Yes, I will continue from where we stopped, from Marwan Adriabi. He said, why there's paragraph alignment? Is it not required?
Sorry, what?
He's asking about the alignments of the paragraph.
Okay.
So he means, do we need to justify, or it's fine if not?
No, right now justification is not required. So basically what we have in the template is what we recommend the students to follow. But as we said, there are some flexibility in some points. So if you would like to have your text justify, you can just email us and we will give you the approval on that. Probably it's going to be okay. But if you want to follow our template, you can just follow it without justification. That's what we require now. Someone, I think I checked the chat with the paper-based template. I'm just going through the monograph-based quickly, and I'll tell you what are the additions or what are the differences in the paper-based, whether it's dissertation. It's only dissertation for now, so I'm going to go through it quickly now. After this, we're about to finish, just 4 pages left. So what are the main points in the references? For the journal articles, as we said, you have to have a journal name, of course, in italic, if it is APA style, and with the journal name's first letter capitalized. So the G has to be capital, the N has to be capital in Nature and Genetics. We require page ranges in all the journal articles, so to and from. We know that some journals will not have page ranges. In that case, you can add only the article number like this, but follow it with the DOI. So you have to follow this format if there is no page range. For the thesis and dissertation, it's okay to add the month for the thesis and dissertation. It's better to mention if it is PhD or master thesis, and also the name of the university and the country that the university is in is very important in this format. Another point is the book. So in the book, one of the major things that we require is the publisher. So make sure that the publisher is there in the books. If you want to add a page range in the book, it is okay, but it's in a different format than the journal. As you can see, for the APA style, it comes here at the end, but in the book, it comes before the publisher. Of course, you can refer to our guidelines, which is there on the portal, or maybe just by Googling generally the style you are using, because we have some styles, the APA, IEEE, and I think 2 more. If you're using a 4th or a 5th extra style that we didn't talk about, it will be accepted, but just tell us, just follow the official format of the site. Another point is the e-publications or e-links. I think it's not there in the template, but you need to have date accessed and retrieved from. So I think it's not there in the template, but if you have any e-link, let's say you visited the World Health Organization website, you can just write WHO and write the title of the page that the article that you read there, and write accessed from who.com and retrieved on maybe 5th of March 2022, etc. So you have to write this. List of applications, since this is not a paper-based, you can just add your publications if you're a master student, but we'll not add the publication as it is. This is very similar to the old template we have. We'll just write your list of publication, if any, and the patents, if any, in this page. Appendix is usually more flexible than what we have inside here. So consistency is required to just make a better overall look. But if there are some rules that are broken here, it's okay. But as long as it's clear and neat, because we get some theses that have a lot of images, but they are not clear, since this is appendix. But this is not the idea of the appendix. Appendix is just to keep the extra information that might not be very important to read here, but again gives a better overall image of the thesis. But this doesn't mean that you add a low quality images, a messed up, tables and text and so on. Some students from different colleges use forms, right? Maybe an ethical form or an approval. These forms are usually coming in the beginning of their master journey, which is maybe like 2 or 3 years back. So we know that maybe the paper is old, or maybe it's not really available. But again, when you scan it and keep it inside the thesis, please try to get the best quality possible. If not, for some reason, we will try to get approval from the dean on that. But our recommendation is to get the best quality possible. I think this is an extra page. I'm sorry about this extra page, but make sure that you go around it. If there is anything that you find in the template, please tell us. So we're still working on it and trying to improve it from time to time. So at the end of the template, you will get this cover page. So I think this is matching with the cover page that we had here. The color is green for College of Science. Different colleges will have different colors. Just please write, don't change these official like text, but just change the name. Where did you receive maybe your bachelor degree? Since this is a master thesis, you will write, of course, your department and the master's degree title. But in the bachelor, you write where did you receive your bachelor from, whether it's here or somewhere else. And you can also write a brief description of the thesis. Brief meaning that maybe just this space, because if you exceed this space again, this might affect the position of this text box. So please take care when you are writing in these new pages, the cover pages, especially that these are text box and it might be affected. So we are expecting your text here to be only in this size, maybe matching with the uau.ac.ae, and maybe the brief description will just be in this box. So these are the new changes that we have. I don't think it will be very complex to cope up with or to handle, but please take care that these changes are made in your thesis. I'm going to switch now to the article based, just to tell you what are the differences. There are few differences, and then we can answer your questions.
Okay, sure. So related to the thesis template that we are talking about, so we have one of the questions in the references. No need for numbering reference. Do we need to number them or no?
Okay, again, this depends on the style you used. So for IEEE, the idea here inside the text is that they have numbering. Let's say that you write the author name, and then you write the number, and sometimes they don't write the author name at all, and they'll just write the number. So if you use numbering inside the citations, you have to use it inside the list of reference because it has to match. But for the APA style, they don't use numbering, they use the author name inside the text, right? So that's why in the template, we have the author names, but not numbered. The only idea here is to have them in alphabetical order in the bibliography.
That's good. And for Ali, he's asking, what are the titles that are remain the same from the old and new templates, since maybe he's already writing his thesis?
What are the titles?
For example, the abstract is the same for all the colleges. So he wanted to confirm, is there any specific titles that should remain the same for any type of college?
I don't really understand the question, but if I got it right, if you already wrote your thesis and you're trying to maybe transfer to the new template, you will just have to adjust with the font size, the line spacing, and the margins. That's it. But basically, I'm not sure if the screen is visible. Let me just share it again. This is the article-based dissertation. Okay. So this is the article-based, but I mean, if you already, for example, wrote in the old template, most of the things here are the same. The only difference is the font size and the line spacing, since this is a smaller page. So if you already have something written, just try to manipulate it inside the new format. But not sure if I got your question correctly.
It means if there's any difference between the colleges except the color, for example.
Okay, I mean the difference between colleges other than this color.
Yeah.
The only difference is the color and the college name. Like you will see the college name in different parts of the thesis, maybe in the cover page now and also in the last page, like as we showed here, the College of Science, etc. So these are the main differences, but the template is basically the same. The inside of the template, the line spacing, everything is the same. And like we are planning to, just to avoid confusion, maybe to just give you different cover pages, but inside it will only be one template for everyone. So maybe this will be done by the next semester, but right now don't worry about it. I mean, if you are College of Science, just use this. College of Engineering, use the other one, but basically the only thing different is the cover page.
Okay, that's good. And for Muhammad Al-Safri, he's asking for the students who are expected to graduate in spring 2022, are they going to use the new template?
Yes. Did you write your thesis?
Let's have a answer now. So,
but starting your, I mean, if you wrote your thesis, this might be a good news because you've already formatted it, or you are familiar with the previous workshop. So you can just, copy and paste in this template with the new formatting and just add the author profile and everything, right? This might be actually a good news for you. Not sure if you are a PhD student and you're trying to insert your articles, but if you wrote your thesis, this might actually be easy to copy and paste. I mean, there I think you had double line spacing. Now it will be 1.5. The font size is 12. Now it will be 11. It was justified. Now you can remove the justified. That's it. So I mean, you can easily copy and paste. So
okay.
now the dissertation template, I think it's very clear. So there are few differences. Of course, here all the word master will be replaced by doctorate, but basically the main idea here are the same in the first few pages. Of course, approval of the doctorate dissertation, not the master thesis. These things should be very obvious. Here, this is a new page, which is the list of publication. So now this is article-based dissertation, which means that you will, here inside the text, you will just, discuss what are your papers about, and at the end, you are going to attach them, as you can see on the left side. So here you start by at least having a list of publication of 3. So if you're having 2, you will not be able to use this template. And then you write your publication and cite them the way you want. Again, this is APA style, but you can use whatever style you want. This gives you the description if you want to read it in details. Again, please, after you read it, delete this red text so it doesn't affect. I just want to give you an example of deleting the text. So if I am in your place and I'm going to delete this, just use this show and hide to also manage the spacing. So maybe someone will also delete this text and it will be very close to the heading. So please just, have an extra space here, an extra space here. Basically, all these show and hide symbols are spaces inside the document, which we will talk about, but I'm just trying to make the difference between the article-based and the monograph, and then we will talk about the spaces, which is very important. Author contribution. So author contribution, I think this is similar to the monograph. Author profile also is similar to the monograph, right? Acknowledgement page, dedication page, we have already talked about, and then the table of content, we have already talked about how to update it. Again, I'm really stressing on this. Like we stress on this every workshop, but yet we get some theses that do this manually. It will be a mess if you do it manually. It will mess up the alignment of the page numbers, the update of the text, the matching of the titles with what's inside the text, because of course we are expecting it to exactly match what's written there. So please use the way that I showed earlier. Here, list of other publications instead of list of publications in the monograph, because mainly you will use your 3 publications or 4 or 5 for the thesis. And if you have any extra irrelevant publications, you can add it here in this section, right? And then the articles 1, 2, 3, and so on should be added in the end of the dissertation. These are the differences. List of table is the same. List of figures, of course, is the same. List of abbreviation. And then we start the chapter. So you will write, as we already showed, you'll make sure that the titles are added, the new lists, the new tables, and so on. So the extra different here is the publication. So after we finish the appendix, we don't directly go to the cover. We have the cover page for publications, and then we have this extra cover which shows you like this is article number 1, and then you will add this article, and then article number 2, and then you will add article 2, and then 3, and then we will have the cover page. The idea here is not to add it inside the MS Word, so you don't really have to worry about it. You will just edit in the MS Word until here, right? And then you will add these as per the article. So let's say you have 5 articles, not 3. So you'll just add number 4 and add number 5, right? In here in the end, and then in the PDF, after we change this document to PDF, and of course you already have your publications as PDF, we will merge them in the Adobe Acrobat. There is an option to merge them. Of course, since this is new to most of the students, we will be able to help you with this. Don't worry about it. As long as you have your thesis ready until the appendix and you have your publications in PDF, we can help you combine them. So don't worry about it. But this is the idea, like because some of the students were emailing us about if they have to maybe add a screenshot of the article or maybe copy and paste some of the text. No, you don't have to do that. Just add the numbers as per the articles you are using, and we will mix it in Adobe Acrobat. If you already have the software and you are familiar with it, it's very easy. Basically, you just combine 2 PDFs together. It's very simple and straightforward. But if not, you can reach out to us and we will definitely help you. This is the only difference, the list of applications in the beginning, and of course, adding the publications in the end. This is the main difference. But other than that, the line spacing and everything between the monograph PhD and the monograph thesis and the article-based PhD are the same. Why do we have monograph for the dissertation and the PhD? Because some colleges don't really or like some programs are not publication based, so you can also use the monograph for PhD if you are a PhD student without any publications. So I want to talk about some of the technical issues inside the Word, or some of the technical tricks that might help you to maybe go around some of the difficulties that you will face, starting of course with the spacing. But before that, we might take some questions if any.
Okay, Ms. Sobe is asking, should they all be first author publications? Maybe she means for the publications in the dissertation.
Okay, that's a good question. I'm sorry, I don't have a definite answer for that. I believe that yes, you should be the first author, but I think it's better to check with the dean. I'm sorry about that. I don't want to give a wrong answer. It's better to check with Professor Ali if you need to be the first author or not. He will have a definite answer. But I think as per the template, yes, you should be the first author as per the template. Because here, Mariam Al-Blushi is the first author in all the publications. It should be your publications. And at the end, maybe list of other publications if you're not a first author. It's okay, but it's better to check with Professor Ali. Someone raised his hand.
Oh, yeah, Ms. Hanadi wants to talk. You're free to talk, Ms. Hanadi.
Yes, thank you. My question was, what about the figures and tables that are in the article? Do I need to put them in the list of tables and list of figures in at the start of the thesis, the dissertation, according to the format, or this is only regarding the chapters that are for the written part, not the articles part?
That's a good question. You have yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. So basically, for the article-based dissertation, what you write here, as I said, is probably a summary for maybe all your 4 or 5 papers. So of course, we are expecting to have similar figures in maybe, let's say, article 2. and you add it here inside the text. So that's okay, as long as you have the original figure and it's in high quality, it's readable and so on. You can just insert it inside the template, because basically what you write here is a summary, but it's not a must. I mean, if you have another figure that maybe is a schematic representation, a summary of something that you want to say, a literature review of a couple of papers together, that's okay, you can add it. So it shouldn't be exactly the same figures in the articles, but probably we are going to see some similarities.
So here we have Mr. Ali wants to talk. You're free to ask Mr. Ali.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you
Alaikum
for
salam.
the questions and the excellent presentation. Mr.
Thank you.
Abdurrahman, my question is, if I published an article, a protocol article, basically a protocol article is where I just explain how I did my methods and all these things. Is it okay if I use the same text from the publication in the thesis, or will that be considered plagiarism by the university? I'm the first author.
Yeah, I think since like the idea of having an article-based dissertation template is actually to use some of the text from your article. So I don't think there is a problem.
No, but I have only one publication, so I will have to use the monograph one.
Okay, you only have one publication.
Yes.
You're a PhD student?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I think I'm not sure about the answer. It's better to check with Professor Ali. If you email him, he will definitely get back to you. But for the monograph, what we used to have previously in previous semesters, and I think you will follow their lead, is if you are taking some text from your article, you might need the approval from the journal if you're going to use the text as is, So it might be a little bit different than the article-based dissertation. So you can just email Dr. Ali and ask him about this, and he will definitely guide you if you can use it as it is, or if you need to get the journal's approval. But it's going to be one of both. Thank you for your question.
And we have here Abdullah Al-Yamahi. You are free to ask.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Okay, thank you very much for this workshop. I just have two questions. The first question, as the lady asked you at the beginning, I mean, the question about the figures and tables. Do we have to make a list at the beginning of the thesis or dissertation, describe the numbers of figures? Because the old thesis and dissertation, I found a lot of people making tables at the beginning, they mention the figure number and describe which page. So do we have to do it here again or no? Same also the tables. I don't know if my question is clear or not.
It's clear. Yes, it's clear, Mr. Abdullah. Yeah, go on.
Okay, this is the one, because do we have to add it or no? And the second question was about the actually I forgot the question.
It's okay. It's okay.
Anyway, just let's go for the first question, please.
That's okay. But if you remember it, it's okay to type on the chat or raise your hand again.
Yeah, I will.
If I understood the question, you're talking about the list of figures and tables, right? Like for the dissertation, do you need to add a list of figures and tables in the beginning of your dissertation?
True, yes.
Yeah, it is a must. Like as we said, let's say you will have 3 articles, and these articles will be attached at the end of your dissertation as it is, right? And each article will have at least, let's say, 8 figures, 8 figures, 8 figures. But here in the dissertation, you're trying to maybe highlight the findings and the main results. So you will just add, let's say, out of the 24 figures, you will just add 5 or 6. So you will have a list of figures with all these 5 and 6, right? So this figure might be a summary that you got from a literature review. It might be as here one of the main findings that you got. You want to add it in your thesis. So basically, the thesis will be a summary of your 3 or 4 or 5 papers. So it's expected to have some figures as it is from the papers, some new figures that maybe you're trying to recreate as a summary, and of course these figures will be added in the list of figures or the tables, whatever. We already had one student who did that, and he followed the same way. So this is a must. Thank you for your question.
Okay, about the other question, I just remember. I have already wrapped up with my thesis, and there are there are like 2 or 3 tables which is cover all page, and also it should to make the paper as landscape rather than the normal one.
Okay.
Is there anything, a clarification about the landscape pages here on in your workshop?
Yes, definitely. This is what I'm going to do in the second part. As we said, we will just talk about some technical things that might help you. One of them is actually splitting the tables. I think this will answer your question. And the main thing is spacing, because a lot of students struggle with the spacing. So I will talk about it, how to split the table. Of course, just to directly answer your question now, previously, when we had a large figure or a large table, we recommended the student to add it in a landscape page, right? Where the page number will flip to make it match with the other pages in the printing. Now, for the new template, you will just flip your table or figure in the page, but without changing any position of the page number. This is what we want to say. Like if you will rotate your figure like this, right? You will just keep it as it is. I'm not sure if it is visible in the screen, but you will rotate your figure, adjust its size, and don't change anything in the page number. So once you read it in the book, you will just flip the page and read it from this. And of course, this figure caption also will be flipped below the figure. This is how to maybe put very large tables or very large figures in the landscape page. This is actually a good news for a lot of people, because previously a lot of students used to struggle with repositioning the page number in the correct format in the landscape pages. So you don't have to make a portrait page and the landscape page and change the positions. Right now, you don't have to do. So you just flip the figure and flip the caption. That's it. But just to maybe as a recommendation, maybe some of the students will not like to have their pages like this, and they want to have it, as a portrait. So I'll show you how to split the tables. It's very easy. So just to go on a little bit before we take some other questions, we will talk about spacing now and the splitting the tables, and then we will take some more questions. So the spacings can be of 3 types only. Like this is how to manipulate the spacing in Word, or at least these 3 ways will allow you to adjust any spacing in your thesis, and will allow you to solve any problem that you have during your formatting. So the first thing, as we already mentioned before, is this show and hide symbol. So as you show the spaces, it will show as a black symbol here, and whatever you press like enter, it will show as spaces. So this will help you, because if you want to maybe reposition some text, or maybe delete this space between the table caption and the table itself, you can just show and hide this space, and it will show that you have one space here between, and you can just select it and delete it. So this is an easy way to maybe add a space between the table and caption. So let's say you are trying to manipulate the space between this table and the caption, but you already deleted this space, and now it is very close, right? So this is not the only way to manipulate it. You can also try to maybe, as we said before, change the line spacing, right? So this is another way. Once you change the line spacing, of course, it will push the table away. But again, this doesn't look very much easy to do or recommended. So another way is to use the layout spacing before and after. This is a very nice tool that I like to recommend to everyone. This is the best spacing that it gets. Like it's not too much space between the table caption and the table, as we previously had when we had one enter. Again, it's not double line space. It's what we recommend. And again, you just added a little space before and after the table. So you can just go to home, layout, and change spacing before and after. As you can see here, as I increase these spaces, it increases the spaces without showing any enter in the middle. So you can just choose a number that you would like. For example, here in this situation, 0 is very close. 6 is fine. So I would recommend maybe 18 and 6. 18 means this space, this before the text. So again, if I decrease this 18, it will be very close to the text. So what we recommend is to have some space like this. This is very recommended between the text and the following table, and between the table caption and the table itself. 6 points is very, is more than enough. So this is the way that you want to apply to all your figures and tables. Of course, you will add the tables and figure caption as I explained earlier automatically. And if you see any table caption that is extending or it's going off the track, can just go to layout as the first step and just try to match the numbers between table 2, table 3, table 4, and so on. So this will make your thesis very consistent, because whenever you have a text, you can even note these things down on the sides and just apply it everywhere as you write. Wherever you have a text, you will have an 18 points, for example, below the text. And then between the table and the caption, you will have, as we said, 6 points. Another point is these spacing can also differ. Like, let's say that this space can be different than this space. How? By the same thing. So if I choose this space and increase the layout of it, right? So the spacing between this and this is different between number 2 and number 3. So this will help you to maybe also manipulate each and every space just using the layout, because some students will say, okay, I have one enter, I just added one enter, but the space looks very different than, let's say, page 9 or page 10. So the way is also to go back and check out the layout. Once you go back to the layout, you will find that, okay, this space has a 24 points before, after, and this has only 8 points. So this is the difference between the spaces, despite these spacings having a very similar line spacing. So in summary, the only 3 ways to adjust your spaces is either by changing the layout, or by changing the line spacing, or by, of course, adding enters between the text. The way that we recommend is to use the layout. It's a very nice way to add spaces without adding too much spaces. If you want to just change a very small space in the text. So this will help you, for example, if you have some text here and you just don't want to add a space that pushes the text to the next page and messes up everything. So when you have a text here at the end of the page, if you just adjust the layout, it will fix everything. So these are the only 3 ways to adjust spacing inside the document. So we already talked about this by answering Mr. Abdullah's question. If you want to change your figure in landscape or table, just flip it. This is the way right now without changing any table. But to answer his other question, and maybe this will be needed by a lot of students, let's say that we want to add a table here. And this table is maybe a bit long, and it will be extended over many pages. So, okay, so this is a table that is extended over many pages, or at least like 2 pages. This is the way. So what you have to do is just go to maybe the second last cell and go to layout. Once you click, you have this option that says split table, right? So now you have this as part 1 and this as part 2. So now you can easily push this one to the next page. Of course, this is just as an example. You are expected to have some cells here. But once you push this second half of the table, what you will do is, let's say this is table 2, and write the caption of the table, and then just use continued, right? And here will be table 2 caption without, of course, continued. And you'll make sure that the maybe spacing are similar. We'll just delete this extra space. Just want to add some more cells to just show you the final image of how it should look, so I don't confuse anyone. Just a second. So this is a very important question. Thank you for asking that. I think a lot of students, especially with the smaller size page, might need to extend some of their tables. Of course, we will just align this here to the right. So this is exactly how it should look after splitting your tables. Of course, let's say this is a number. Let's say this is type, for example, and this is percent, right? So here you're expecting to repeat these also, the table heading, right? So this will make the reader read the first half of the table, and also the second half if it continues, so he doesn't need to go back and check what is this and what is this. Another important recommendation, if you have percent, you can just use the percent here at the top, and the numbers will be like 45, 30, 33, and so on. So you don't have to repeat the percentage symbol everywhere, right? So this is a very easy way to split the tables. Just go to the cell that you want to split. It will show you here as a layout. you can split the table and then repeat the table caption with the same spacing that you already used here. And then at the end of the caption, you will use continued. And then you will just repeat the table headings and continue the table as it goes. So this applies to all the tables, if even it extends to more than 3 pages and so on. Just make sure that when you write this table, write it manually, because as we showed earlier, this you will table 2, you will add it as automatically, right? But in table 2 continued, don't add it as automatically. So when you go here and update the table, it doesn't update 2 times. We just want it 1 time. So I hope this was easy to understand. Splitting table is very important, and there are some few recommendations. So let's say that you have some text here and only 1 or 2 cells are extending to the next page, right? So you have a lot of options that you can do. The first thing is actually to decrease the font size. So despite having a consistent font size between all the text, of course, inside the thesis, you can use a smaller size in the table. So you have from 8 to 12. This is sorry, 8 to 11 now from inside the table. So if your text is 11 as per the text, you can decrease it maybe to 8 or 9, so that these 2 cells fit here, because as a general recommendation from CGS, we don't really recommend the student to, you know, split their tables. Again, it's especially if you have 2 or 3 cells. But of course, if you have a very big table that extends to maybe 3 or 4 pages, you can use this technique that I used. As some also general recommendations, as you write maybe your results, you write 65%, let's say, right? So all the symbols should have a space, 1 space, except for the percentage and the degree Celsius. So if you are having a degree Celsius or a percentage, it should not have any space after, right? So another thing is how to add the degree Celsius. It's better to add it from one consistent way. So here I added from the symbol tab, and it shows this circle as the degree Celsius. Unfortunately, some students copy and paste this from different places as they write. Sometimes they copy it and paste it from a paper. Sometimes they write it in their own, copy it from Google. So this results in having an inconsistent percentage or degree Celsius symbol. So that will not be accepted. We recommend you to just use the word symboling. So just insert symbol, degree, and that's it. So these are the only 2 numbers that you will not have any space. But if you're having 65 centimeters, a millimolar, whatever unit you are using should have 1 space. So this is also a very important point. We can take some questions before we maybe jump into the last part of the workshop.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdurrahman. So we have Zubaydah, he wants to talk. I think he left, because there was raising his hand and he left. Okay, he's rising again. Okay, you're free to talk, Mr. Zubaydah.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for the workshop.
Thank you.
Actually, I have 2 questions I typed in the chat box, but it's okay. I can say it now. The first one is about borders on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Do we what is the line formatting accepted for the tables in the shed and lines? Do we put all the boxes, all the cells should be shaded, or we use the color formatting, or what is a line accepted? Because here in the template, for example, the one showing right now on the screen, is that all the cells have the borders.
Yes.
And in some tables, the same in this template, you use the color formatting, and some you use specific line formatting, like this
True.
one.
True. Yeah, true.
And some others is the color formatting.
Yes. So this is the only question, right?
No, the second one is about article-based dissertation presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in the talk, you said we need to have 3 articles.
Yes.
Must probably face authorship. And does that mean all the 3 articles have to be published, already published, or we can use articles that are on the review or in press accepted before publishing or something like that?
Okay. Thank you. So the first answer to the answer to your first question is the tables. You can use whatever format you want. Maybe this format without full borders, or maybe the other one that I created. But we recommend to be consistent. So if you would like some, I think maybe education mostly use this style, this table style, or maybe even IT. So you can use this. It's okay. But please be consistent. Again, for the coloring and bolding the text. For the table headings, we recommend to bold only the headings. For the table, sorry, we recommend to only bold the headings, not the text inside. Even if you want to highlight a result or something, it's not recommended to highlight it in black or maybe yellow, so on. So you can use whatever format, but please be consistent, whether you use full borders or not. For the articles, they have to be published. All the articles have to be published. Thank you for your questions.
Mr. Abdurrahman, we have a question from Hanadi. Can we get an access for this recorded workshop? As I mentioned earlier, I think it's recorded and it will be available.
Yes, it will be available. If you need it, you can visit the YouTube channel CGS_UAEU, and you will find all our recordings frequently updated. So we will upload it as soon as possible, and you can revisit the workshop. And you can always email us or call us. I'll write here my office number if you have any questions, or you can email us at CGS and we will answer you. It's good that you asked this. I also want to take you through the procedure, like from where you are planning to defend to until you get the clearance. I'm going to briefly go through the procedure before we finalize the workshop. So this is the office number if you need to ask about anything. So I think you are familiar with the thesis email. I'm just typing it, thesis@uaeu.ac.ae. So this email is controlled by the dean's office. And usually after your defense, you need to send two documents. The first one is form to release for printing. You will find it in the portal that we uploaded the template from. This has to be signed by your professor saying that he already looked at the thesis, you defended, and you are ready to start the formatting. And of course, along with this, you are required to send us the Word file of your thesis so we can review it. And then we will start reviewing. It's going to be back and forth between us until everything is finalized. Hopefully this doesn't take time if you followed the instructions here in the workshop. And after that, you will we will resend this document to the dean for signatures, and then it will be sent to the printing office. So I hope this is clear and simple. This is the process. For embargo and non-embargo, these are two options for the students to use. Either they want to publish their thesis directly to the library without any restrictions or without any privacy. This is usually done for the students who already maybe published papers and they don't really need to keep anything away from the thesis. But the embargo option is basically to allow the students to keep some privacy on the thesis until they publish a paper from it. So of course, we will email you all the details once you are under review, and this will help you to send us all the required document until your defense. So once you print the thesis and get it back to us, we will of course give you a clearance from the CGS office. So I think most of the attendees here are planning to defend this semester, right? So I hope you write your work in the template so it doesn't delay you at the end after the defense. I think we have some hand raised. Please go on.
Yeah, Ms. Hanadi, she raised her hand again. You are free to talk.
Yes, thank you. About the articles or papers that are published, and I want to include them in the thesis. Do they need to follow specific, let's say, guidelines? Do they have to be in specific, maybe journals, or has a specific impact factor? Do they can they be articles or short reports? which type of articles that I can include or exclude from
No,
adding?
as far as I know, they only should be original articles, and they should be
Mhm.
published. So this is the information I have right now. So you can just send us, of course, the articles with the thesis so we can look at them just quickly before, of course, we merge them. The thing is, of course, we review first, and once we finalize the document until the appendix, as we said, we'll merge the ready published paper inside the file at the end. So
Okay.
don't worry about that, but you are from which college?
College of Medicine and Health Sciences.
Okay, great. So you are planning to maybe include how many articles in the dissertation?
I have published throughout the years of the PhD five as a first author.
Great.
Not, but I'm not sure. Some of them are in high impact factor journals or good journals. Some of them do not even have an impact factor yet.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that should I include all of them? Should I include only the ones that are in good journals and exclude the others, or put them all? And then that's the thing. How can I choose which?
Okay, so I will talk to the dean's office after the workshop, since we got many questions about maybe the type of applications that you need to add. Maybe if you should be a first author or maybe second author is accepted, the impact factor and so on. To be honest, the scope of this workshop is more about the technicalities of formatting. So I don't want to maybe mislead you with any wrong information, but I will ask the dean's office to broadcast an email to all the graduate students, especially the PhD, with the regulations of the articles that can be added in the dissertation. So I'll note that down. Thank you for raising this, and we will definitely email you a broadcast, and you will get the answers, inshallah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It should be very soon before you, of course, apply, or I think you apply to graduate or finalize your thesis writing. So should not be. It should be very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abdurrahman, for answering. And we have Ms. Amina Kamal. You are free to talk.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
But I have two questions. The first regarding adding a new chapter.
Okay.
Is it better to add it manually or copy paste from a previous chapter?
A new chapter, like a chapter like the
Chapter 5 or 6.
No, as we said, like if you are going to add a new chapter, let's say here, you will just, let me just show you. You will just add the title of the chapter and make sure that it's heading 1. That's the whole idea. So let's say this is, sorry, chapter 5. And then you will write the title of the chapter and just make sure that it's heading 1. So you will see that it automatically came in the middle of the page, it became bold, and it showed here in the navigation, and when you update, it will show in the table of contents. So this is the way to add any new chapter if needed. We recommend, like, I mean, a new chapter, you're a PhD student or a master student?
Master.
So a new chapter as in what exactly? Because, and here, let's say that we are hoping in the introduction you cover the statement of the problem, the overview, research objectives, and as we said, the second chapter should be the methods, third should be results and discussion, and fourth should be conclusion. So you're planning to add a new chapter in what sense exactly?
Like
yeah.
I'm dividing the work into 2 parts. The experimental and the computer software part. Can I do this?
Well, it's recommended to keep it in 1 chapter. I mean, it should be okay if you are planning to, but I mean, in the methods, it's recommended in the chapter 2, for example, as a master student in the monograph template to write the methods and maybe divide it. Let's say the methods is chapter 2. So it's better to maybe divide it in 2.1, the experimental part, 2.2, the computational part, like that. It's better to have a consistency over the number of chapters. But again, this is up to you.
Type when I add table or figure caption, how to include the chapter number in the caption?
Chapter number. Okay, some students, I think I got your questions. Some student will want to add maybe 2.2, right?
Yes.
You can just write it manually. It's okay. You can just change it manually. Like if you add, let me show you. If you add here like references. This is okay, by the way, for everyone. I mean, it's okay to add. You can just add it like this, 2.2 here, 2.2, and then just write your title, and it should be automatic.
Okay.
So that's okay. I mean, some students ask about this. It's okay to have 2.2, 3.2 as per the chapter. That's totally fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Abdurrahman Farasamig. We have Tina. You are free to talk.
Hello, thank you very much for the very informative presentation. I have this question again. I didn't get the idea when I have to submit the thesis to the graduate study, the College of Graduate Studies. It has to be happen after I defend it, or I have to create the first draft and then submit it to the college, and after that only when it accepted go to the defense. Can you please elaborate a bit more, or at least broadcast?
Thank you so much for your question. So we usually broadcast the steps. I'm sorry if I explained it in a hurry, but usually you defend, and then after the defense, you might have some minor comments from your committee. You edit these, and once the thesis is finalized, you send it with the form to release for printing from your supervisor to the thesis email. So this comes after the defense. So the first step is defense. The second step is submitting the final draft of the thesis from your side, and we'll start reviewing by giving you some comments, hopefully not too much, of course, and after we finalize that, we will send it to the printing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Abdurrahman, for answering. And we have the last student who's raising his hand, Mr. Ali.
My question is similar to Tiana. Submitting the thesis for you is after the defense, but I think for the external examiner, this one we have to submit it before the defense, right? Like 1 month at least,
yes.
correct?
Yes, I hope I didn't confuse, guys. So you write your thesis, you finalize it with your supervisor, and you send it to the exam committee, which usually takes about 3 weeks for both masters and PhD. And then you defend. And then after defense, you submit it to us. So our work here is only formatting wise, not scientifically. We don't really comment on the science written here. The science is between the student, the committee, the supervisor, of course, and everyone. But for CGS, once it reached here, it's only formatting, line spacing, font size. So the aim here is just to make all the theses as consistent as possible. So don't worry about this. Is like if you're writing your thesis now, you reach out to your supervisor to see the steps if you're going to send it to the examiner. This doesn't include CGS at all.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
I think we have too much inquiries, so I hope everyone is getting the full benefit of this. So we have the last guy, he's called Marwan. You are free to talk.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Abdurrahman, for this informative lecture. I have a small question regarding formatting. Maybe I missed it, but it's very simple. But actually, regarding the numbering of the thesis. In the beginning, we're starting with the Roman numbering X, X1, X2, and then we're starting the thesis with 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually, I'm doing the second part automatically, but the first part, how you are matching both of them, or you are doing in manual format the first X1.
Thank you so much. So I recommend not to explain this because it will be complicated, and we have faced some issues to make sure that it is in opposite pages and at the same time different format. But as long as you download the template and follow it, the number should come automatically. I mean, if you are writing any chapter starting from here, it will only number in numerical numbers, and then it will be Roman numbers. I mean, we don't recommend to double click on that and change the format of the number because this might change the Ode section breaks. But I'm not sure why did you mention this question? I mean, are you planning to renumber any section? Because this will not be accepted. I mean, we are expecting that the first part of the thesis should be numbered in Roman numbers, and starting from the chapter, it should be numerical numbers. So
yeah, that's I'm asking about the Roman numbering. How you are, if I'm having a blank thesis, a blank page, how you are merging both together, the Roman and the numeric numbers.
Yes, this is the idea, Dr. Marwan. So we are hoping that you download the template and edit on it. This is the way what we recommend, because it will be very easy to add new titles. It will be very easy to not mess up the margins, and of course, most importantly, the page numbers. So what we recommend is whatever your dissertation type, whether it's article based or monograph, you can just visit the portal, download the template, and edit on it. So in this case, you will not have to do any page numbering, and at the same time, it will help you avoid the problems in the layout. Please take care of this, not only for Dr. Marwan, for everyone, because we get a lot of thesis that is manually made. So this will cause you a lot of trouble in terms of formatting. You will find that the margins is off, the size is off, and you will face, of course, some problems here in the section Ode Breaks. So please don't follow this manual way of doing the thesis.
Thank you much.
Thank you so much. So Mr. Muaz, can you send everyone the feedback link in the chat? So I think this is we are about to end the workshop, so please give us your feedback through the link that Mr. Muaz will provide in the chat.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Abdurrahman, for your valuable time, and for everyone, and hope everyone is getting the full benefit. Kindly, I will send the feedback link. I would request everyone, please fill the survey, and you will find the link of the recorded meeting through the YouTube. If you can share with us, Mr. Abdurrahman, the channel on YouTube.
Yes, I'm going to write in the chat now. It's CGS_UAEU. Of course, this is not the only workshop we give. We have a lot of workshops from more experienced faculty members about a lot of different areas in the research process and the writing. So again, if I think some of you might not be defending the semester and just like planning to defend in maybe later semester. So even if you visit this link or this YouTube channel, you'll find a lot of workshops that can help you in terms of referencing. So as much as I stressed about the using the template, please use the automatic referencing citation, whether it's Zotero or Mendeley. You will find a lot of guidance on YouTube from our faculty or from external channels about how to include a reference using Zotero, the style. Please talk to your supervisor about the style he prefers. I think it depends on the college. I believe engineering usually uses IEEE, as I said. So just finalize the citation type and use the automatic citation tool, because this will result in maybe missing references. Like when we check the thesis and we are trying to find maybe a reference inside the document here and we search for it, we'll not find it in the list of references. So please take care of that. I think Mr. Muaz sent the feedback form, so please do fill it. And I think everyone has already wrote the attendance. So we really appreciate your time. And I hope you benefited from the workshop at some point. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us, CGS, at the email of thesis or our general CGS email for any inquiries. And we will give future workshops about thesis if needed, if there is any changes. And I'll definitely talk to the Dean's office to broadcast to you the regulations about the article publishing and the details about that, since a lot of you asked about it. I hope you had a enjoyable time through the workshop, and I hope it was light and informative. Thank you so much also, Muaz, for helping with organizing this workshop, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed day, everyone.